Enciso. Oh, it's fabulous! A strike to get you up off your seats.
Hello and welcome to Seagulls Social, Season 5, Episode 17. It is the West Ham match reaction, and I'm joined by the legendary, the man, the myth, the legend, Jack Stevenson. How are we, Jack Albion?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
Good.
Nothing
Just,
too exciting to say.
No, yeah. I mean, yesterday it wasn't all doom and gloom, but it wasn't exactly something to, come on this podcast and be raving and happy and over the moon. But no, it wasn't. It's not. Just from off the bat, I thought it was a pretty good result. To be honest, I thought we deserved a result. I thought we were the better side. In the end, some people were like, it was a deserved draw, but I personally thought we were the better side in the whole sort of 90 minutes. Over the 90 minutes. But yeah, well, of course we're going to get into it. But we've just witnessed Spurs lose 6-3 to Liverpool, so at least that didn't happen to us. So, always a silver cloud, even silver lining. I can't even get my words out. Anyway, Jack, let's start then. Straight off the bat, like I said, I thought it was a pretty good result. A few sort of decisions, a few things that a lot of people talked about our goal, Lewis Dunk going into Fabianski. That was talked about. So let's start there. First of all, Jack, did you think it was a foul? Because I personally thought Dunk was going for the challenge. I thought he went for the ball. It didn't look like he had eyes for Fabianski at all. And he ended up winning the header, and of course, Wieffer put it away. But what were your thoughts, and how do you see it?
Well, my initial thoughts is I was on the concourse.
Great.
That's
good.
No, having watched it back, it's weird on the concourse at West Ham. You can sort of see the big screen showing the game, so I did see it.
Right. Okay.
Then they checked it for ages, for offside, and I was surprised it wasn't for a foul. But to be honest, I think it was a good decision. You see a lot of those sort of, called for a foul. So, I was pretty satisfied with that decision, to be honest. I think there was nothing really in it. I didn't hear many, when I spoke to a few West Ham fans after the game, I didn't really hear much complaint about it. I think there was some
mine was
worse
the opposite.
Decisions made. Oh, the opposite.
Mine was the opposite. I had a Villa fan and a West Ham fan saying it was a definite foul because he obstructed Fabianski and he's made physical contact with him, which I can sort of see where they're coming from. But me personally, I think his eyes are on the ball. He's jumped for it. He's won the ball, and Fabianski sort of flapped at it and missed it, in my opinion. So I personally don't think there's anything wrong with it. But I did see a few people thinking there was. So I wanted to get your opinion, and you're in our camp on that.
I'm pretty non-fussed by it. I think. Probably if it was the other way around, I'd probably argue the toss a bit because that's what I like to do for no reason. And I can see why some people might think that. But I think it's one of those ones where you just got to get over it. Just
get over it. West Ham fans, just get over it, mate. It's simple. It's done. I agree.
I don't think it's like a clear cut. I think we should have more of that. I think it's so open to interpretation. If the decision on the pitch is that it's a goal, then just stick by it. Which I think is right.
Because you see a lot, like you said, you see a lot of those decisions. They get given a lot of the time because they're protecting the goalkeepers, which is I get, and I completely do. I'm up for protecting goalkeepers because sometimes players do clatter them and they go into them. You've seen a few instances, but also goalkeepers do it to players. You saw Pickford did it to Van Dijk, and obviously Liverpool fans weren't too happy with that. But it goes both ways, and like you said, I do quite like that he's given it in our favour because then that sort of sets a precedent, doesn't it, going forward? If a player does that again, then you're like, well, you gave it for the West Ham Brighton game. You're going to have to give it again this time around. So I'm glad they didn't, and they didn't set a precedent and a sort of rule going forward. But then there was another contentious decision, Jack. Estepinian, who was very flagrant, shall we say, with a tackle on, I believe it was Max Kilman, where he sort of went studs up. And it was, I'll be honest, in real time, I was like, nothing wrong with it. He's won the ball, no problem. But when I've seen it back a few times, I do think, he's gone studs up. He has followed through. His shin pad's sort of gone the other way. So in hindsight, I think we were quite lucky to get away with that. I'm surprised VAR didn't overturn the yellow, to be honest with you. But Jack, what was your view on that one?
I thought that was a red card. I actually thought it was at the time. I was one of a few people in the ground who did sort of I think Purvis could be in trouble here. And then a couple of people said, "Nah, there's nothing in that." I think ultimately what saved him is he's won the ball, and then it's the follow through, but it's a high, dangerous follow through. So I am quite surprised VAR didn't do it. But once again, I think it's good the referee's going for an on-field decision again. I do think we got lucky with it though, but it is what it is. And it kind of shows that you win some, you lose some, doesn't it? It's sort of, you sort of got lucky with one decision, got lucky with another. I think we did all right. And yeah, I was very surprised. He's a very lucky boy to be on the pitch. But it's what it is.
It was a weird one for me. It sort of came out of nowhere. I felt like Estupiñán sort of had a bit of a weird mad moment where he was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna go absolutely go for this." And I was just like, "Why have you done this?" It felt like so unnecessary. I believe it was near the halfway line, right? It wasn't like It weren't exactly on the break, and it was one of those desperate tackles where he's thinking, "Shit, they're in here." So that's what really confused me with him.
Purvis, I thought, played a bit of a weird role yesterday. Like he seemed to be playing like an almost inverted winger fullback. It was all a bit. He was almost like tucking into central midfield. So I felt like half the time that he had on the pitch yesterday, he was just running across to try and cover someone, and he's just done that there. And it's probably just a moment of madness. If he had gone, we'd all be saying it was a moment of madness from him. Yeah. I mean,
lucky.
yeah,
You're lucky.
Lucky.
Yeah,
but
sure.
we've been unlucky. We've been unlucky with some decisions. So I do think it's just what goes around comes around, doesn't it?
100%. And thankfully it didn't. Yeah, it went in our favour. But and also it was late on, to be fair as well. It was like I think 85th minute or so.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it. If he had been sent off, I don't know how much of an effect it would have had on the game.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Anyway, it didn't happen. And yeah, we had lots of chances in the second half. I thought first half it was pretty even. I think sort of both ways. But then second half, I don't know about you, Jack. I thought we had some good chances, man. I thought that Matoma chance was the big one. Ayari had 2 chances. Did it feel like I saw Ryan? Shout out to Ryan Adset. He mentioned saying he felt like the second half was very Graham Potter-esque. Did you feel that?
Yeah, it had some Potter vibes to it. Just sort of like chance upon chance, and it just getting just not working out. A frustrating thing there, but Maz having some water for whoever that commenter was.
I got told off last time.
Yeah,
whoever it was told me off. I'm just staying hydrated. Okay, so that is why I'm drinking.
To be fair, it's not very sustainable. You should probably get like a metal.
That is very true. I do that. I'll take, Jack. But the drinking itself, not. But yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, it was a bit Graham Potter-esque. I thought we were the better side. I thought we had a better chances. I thought we definitely deserved to win it at the end as well. I think just a little bit more composure would have been good. I don't know. We're a bit out of sorts, aren't we? I think it was a good result to stop the rot. I felt like, because I felt like we've had some performances which just haven't quite been there. And I think this was a good base foundation to get back to basics, do the basics, get the 1-1 away from home, and then just kind of build on that. And if we can build on that, that'd be really, really good. But yeah, I think the chance creation was back, which was really, really good. I think Minter, he did one. There was one really weird cross he did where he should have just piled it along the floor and decided to go.
Was that the one
up in the air?
Just sort of skied all the way?
Yeah,
and it went out for. I think he went out of play. I think.
Yeah, and it went out for a throw-in or something.
Yeah.
And it was just like that was the wrong decision. But other than that, I thought he grew into the game a bit, so maybe it'd be good to see him. But I do think like that first half was one of the weirdest first halves I've watched in a long time. It felt like a pre-season friendly. Like it
really?
It was just.
What was it? Do you feel like it just didn't lack the intensity?
Yeah, it just lacked intensity. There was very little atmosphere in the ground. It's always hard to get an atmosphere going at the London Stadium. And it just felt like two teams quite low on confidence and a little bit not devoid of ideas. That sounds very scathing, but a little bit low on ideas and trying their best to do things with some very, very good individual attackers like Bowen. I think we had this discussion in the pub and we probably were saying he's probably the best player outside the top 6. I'm struggling to think of.
He is class, yeah.
Of many. So, yeah, I don't know. It was the funny first half, and I think we sort of grew into it a bit in the second half. So if we can build on that performance, that'll be really, really good. But, I've sort of kind of said it all season, really. I do think hers is a lot more Graham Potter than Roberto De Zerbi. I do think he's got that sort of ideas in him, and that's not a slight on hers, because I do hope he'll be a much better version of Graham Potter. But yeah, we did go a little bit Potter at the end of the game there.
Yeah. It felt like one of those games where we were creating lots of chances and we just couldn't put it in. Like the one that epitomised it all for me was that Matoma one. I know that you could potentially argue that maybe he should be finishing that, but it was just one of those chances where you're like, how did that not go in? I remember when it happened, I was like, I started screaming. I was like, yes, get in. And then my girlfriend looked at me like, what were you doing? I was like, oh, and then I was like, yeah, it's definitely not gone in. But I just thought it was one of those goals where it's just one of those chances where it just felt like for all our lives it should have just gone in, but it didn't. But what I want to do, Jack, quickly, I want to rewind back to the beginning of the game and talk about the lineups, because fair play to Herzl. After the Palace game, we needed, I think, a bit of a switch up in terms of personnel, maybe ideas, etc., and he brought in Wieffer, Veltman, and Gruda into the starting 11, which was great. Obviously, Veltman, I think, is self-explanatory. We've missed that defensive side of him. You know, Lamptey's great going forward, but defensively, I think we can all agree he's not that guy. Whereas Veltman came in, and funnily enough, actually, I had a bet builder for the game, and I actually backed Veltman to get a yellow, which I thought, because he's obviously been out for a while, bit sluggish, high football IQ, and of course he did get that yellow card for, I think it was pulling in the end, pulling to the shirt. But yeah, great to see him back, Jack. First of all, let's start with Veltman. Good to see him back, and how do you think of his performance, considering first one back in a while?
Yeah, really solid player, isn't he? You know, I think we've waxed lyrical on here about how much we like Joel Veltman. He's really good, sort of solidified the defence. He came off around 60 minutes. I don't know whether that's an injury thing, which I probably would have kept him on, but actually Lamptey did quite well when he came on.
Yeah, I thought Lamptey was really good when he came on.
Yeah, I know, he's, you know, when we're pushing forward. But yeah, no, really good to see Joel Veltman back. Hopefully he can solidify us for the rest of the season, because our record, you know, he still remains undefeated with us this season. So yeah, once again, Joel Veltman, you know, beautiful man and a very good game.
Yeah, you had to get in the beautiful man part. He's a
good-looking guy. He's a good-looking guy.
He is. You know, Naomi's watching. That's why you're doing it.
Yeah, no, but I do. I do really. I really think it's good to have him back. He's got the experience, which I think is quite key to what we're lacking a little bit at the moment.
Well, we spoke about it, didn't we, Jack? Like a couple of games ago, we talked about the leadership when we don't have Dunk, and you know, when Milner's out injured, and Lallana's obviously left the club. Pascal Gross has left the club. We're missing all these sort of experienced players, and we've all mentioned before, having that invaluable experience is huge, because he does definitely bring that, and defensively solid as well, which is, I think, is a huge key thing for us, especially in this run we're having at the moment. We need someone who can sort of, keep players out. And then let's go around the pitch. So Gruda as well. How do you assess his performance? I thought he was a bit indifferent, maybe. Is that a nice word to say?
Yeah, he was a bit 50-50. I think he's still got a lot to grow into, if that makes sense. You know, he's had a hard start. He started injured, hasn't really been able to get game time. He's got a very talented front four on their day. I don't think he was too bad, but he never really got the ball. And he did do one shocking first touch in the first half. I can't remember what part that was, but it is what it is. It is what it is. You know, I think it was a fine performance, and more of that will hopefully get him experience, and then we can start to use him more and more.
Do you like him? I've got a question. Do you like him on the right-hand side, or would you prefer like a Yakuba Minter, or I don't know who else has been playing out there recently, but yeah,
Jorginho's been out there.
Jorginho, yeah. Would you prefer someone else to Gruda? Maybe put Gruda. Can he play centrally? I don't know that much about his sort of positional play.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can play sort of inside a bit and sort of like a number 10 role. He can play out wide. Yeah, look, he's an option there. I think when Minter came on, he definitely changed it up a bit, and he did. Once he took about 5 minutes to grow into the game, he started to get a little bit better. Yeah. He started doing, you know, he started getting in behind, and I don't know whether Gruda has the pace to do that. So whether he'd be more centrally is better, because he can be tricky with the ball. He can move it inside. He can pass it out wide. So yeah, an interesting performance from him. I wouldn't look too much into it whether he's particularly bad or particularly good. He just did a job for the time that he was on the pitch, and it'll be interesting to see more performances from him, and if he can grow it into. I'd love to see him start a couple away at Norwich. That'd be a great little
100%.
You know, a nice basis for him. But I do. The thing is, what I like about him being a right wing option, and I do think this is something that we need to start looking at, is I really don't think João Pedro, as good as he is a leading striker in a number 9 role. This is, I mean, I've gone completely off topic from Gruda now, but
No, it's fine.
But I don't like seeing Pedro before because I think he is good when he drops from deep, plays the ball around a bit. Whereas someone up top can make a focal point for him to play balls into.
But
so,
do you think that's because he doesn't trust Ferguson? Do you feel like Herzl doesn't trust Ferguson to play that out and out striker? Whereas obviously Welbeck's injured now, the options are limited for him.
Yeah, it's a strange one, that, isn't it? I don't really know what's going on with Ferguson.
I think
I would be starting him.
Oh mate,
his confidence is like, but I think for me, like as we're talking about starting lineup, as soon as Ferguson came on, we started creating chances. For one of those Yari chances, and really, really nice sort of hold up play, the flick to the side. So look, give him more and more games. I think he's confident. We know the talent that he's got. So then he can sort of, grow into it. And, we're not going to do that unless we give him a chance. If we loan him out in January, who else we've got? Well,
that's my biggest worry, is that if we let him go in January, we literally have zero up top. It's very similar to sorry to interrupt, it's really similar to actually West Ham. When you saw Fulkrug, who came off, they became so much more dangerous. I thought Fulkrug was actually stifling them going forward. He was so slow. He wasn't very good on the ball. He wasn't holding up play. He wasn't really offering what an out-and-out number 9 you'd want from a player. And as soon as he came off and Bowen went in that central position, they scored pretty much instantly. And Bowen and Kudus were heavily involved. So, it reminds me of that. If your number 9 target man, or whoever your number 9 is, whether it's João Pedro, Ferguson, whoever, if they're not doing the basics right and whatever, going forward, it's such a massive hindrance, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, and I think it's a strange one. I think Ferguson deserves more time. I think he really deserves a start. We gave him one at Leicester, and he made some poor decisions, but they're just a confident thing. More and more games, and he'll be fine. And it looks like we're not looking for a striker in January, so. Yeah, we
looking at Coventry's Bassett, I believe.
Well, we've looked around, haven't we, at stuff. There's links all the time, but there doesn't seem to be anything too concrete and too solid. That we brought in. I know we had a look at that Conrad, whatever his name was, the guy he's gone to Sporting Lisbon from Midfield. At the end, I can't think what his name. Conrad Harder. That's what it was. We tried to bring him in on deadline day, but it didn't happen for whatever reason. He's gone to Sporting Lisbon. So maybe we are looking for a striker. I don't really know. I don't know the transfer plans that much. But yeah, I'd like to see Ferguson given a chance. Look, he cost us nothing. Do we need to go out and buy a striker when we possibly have one of the most talented young ones in the country if we can really get him going? So yeah, a strange one for me.
Just quickly talking of transfers, I've seen we've been linked with a few attacking players as well, like in this January. And I'll be honest, it just really baffles me because you're like, we've got I think about a good 5-6 out on loan. You've got Facundo Buonanotte, you've got Osman out on loan, you've got Yalkoi, I don't know how to say it properly, but you've got Yalkuye, there you go. You've got like 4 or 5 very, very good players out on loan. Even Simmer, I believe, we still got out on loan.
Osman, and Simmer, and Buonanotte.
There's so many forward attacking players that we're struggling. That we've got out on loan, and I just don't get why we don't go replay. Because what does that tell? What does that tell them? It's like, right, we don't trust you guys that are out on loan. We're going to go buy some more players, and even the players at the club. We've still got so many attacking options. Even like Simone Dingle couldn't even come off the bench yesterday, and he's been nominated for African Player of the Year, and it's just like we've got so much quality in these attacking areas. I just don't get why we keep looking for forwards. Why don't we go look for centre backs? Why don't we look for full backs? I don't get this obsession with keep getting attacking players. But yeah, I'm not the recruitment, and you've got to trust it because they have done so well with it.
Yeah, and it's a strange one for me. Like I just think we've almost got too many options there.
Yeah. 100%.
It's crazy, and I think it's dark because I did think this at the beginning of the season that maybe our squad was too large, and you're going to find it very difficult to satisfy all these players. You can see Enciso's getting frustrated. Yeah. I'm sure we'll get onto that strange at the end of the game waiting there.
Yes, yeah, we'll definitely get on that.
But it's a strange one. I just think we've got all these options, yet we seem very against using them. I'm not really sure what the plan is. And I have alluded to this before, but some of the transfer dealings and options that we've created for ourselves don't always make 100% sense. And obviously, look, I'm not Tony Bloom, I'm not running the club, but some of the stuff we're doing, I'm looking at it a bit like, what's going on here then? We've got some great young attackers coming up through the academy as well. Now we've got money. Is it a case that we're becoming like Chelsea, where we're just hoarding attacking players?
Yeah.
We can send out on loan, and I don't really see the benefit in doing that for like our league positioning. I see that more as like a financial benefit. So yeah, that was a bit of a strange one, and I'm probably going a bit deeper into the answer of this.
No, but
no. Literally asking me whether you thought Gruda played well.
We've got here. No, I like it though, because it does bring me on actually quickly. Just a point I was actually making earlier to like various football group chats, is like a really good example for me was today when Spurs played Liverpool. They played Archie Gray at centre back, and they're shoehorning a centre midfielder at centre back, and they ended up shipping 6 goals. Right? I know hindsight's a beautiful thing. But my argument was they've got Alfie Dorrington, who's a centre-back from the academy, on the bench. Why not? Okay, I get it. You might argue, right, Liverpool's a big game, don't throw him in. However, in hindsight, you ship 6 goals. Why does it matter if you play Dorrington or you play Arch Gray? You might as well play Dorrington, who's a centre-back by trade, and you give him that experience. Cool. If he ships 6, I know it's not great for confidence, and it's probably not the way you want to start. However, you're shoehorning a centre midfielder in there by virtue of actually you do have a centre back on the bench. It's not like you're absolutely got. I know they've got Romero out on the bench. Anyway, it's not a Spurs podcast, but the point I'm trying to make is why not sort of use your youth products that you have? And it's similar to Brighton. Like when you've got, we've got players on the bench like McConville, for example, or well, you know better than me, the centre backs in our youth academies, but some of them are brilliant and they've got bright futures. So yeah, I'm not saying play them or start them, whatever, but why not look at our youth products and who we've got coming up and prioritise them rather than going out to the market and buying and, like you said, hoarding players just for the sake of it.
Well, yeah, and I think that, centre back, obviously, an interesting one which you brought up there. But I do think with the attackers, look, we've got Enciso, we've got these players. Herzler talking about how much he's liking Enciso's hard work to get back in the team. Go with it consistently. Like, give these players a chance. We don't need more players. I don't know. That's some of the strange stuff that's going on with that point of view. So look, it'll all make sense in the end. It's all part of the master plan, isn't it? So
it's all part of the master plan.
But I was going to say. I was going to say the other one who came in was Wieffer, which I presume.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Wieffer came in, and we spoke about it, didn't we? We actually said in the West Ham, not preview, in the review of Palace, we said would we play Wieffer and Baleba, and we all sort of agreed, I think, on the whole. And it came true. He played Wieffer and Baleba, and I thought Wieffer had a brilliant game. Got his goal, looked very composed, looked great in the middle there. It was quite a nice combination, I thought, with Baleba. Baleba had a good game as well, I thought. Thought he ran that midfield really, really well. I've still got question marks. I know this is going to sound mental to any Brighton fan listening. I still feel like he's still got a lot to learn, though, Baleba. I feel like sometimes he looks a bit not uninterested. I don't want to say I think that's harsh. But there's sometimes where I look at him and I'm like, it doesn't look like he's running back or tracking back sometimes. And
concentration, I think.
Yes.
Sometimes maybe.
Yeah, I think that's probably the better attribute to point out. But yeah, so I feel like he's still got a long way to go. But he's an incredible talent. Like his ceiling is outrageously high. I don't want to sort of dig him out or anything at all, because it's not that at all. It's just I feel like it was a good combination. Anyway, Wieffer, Jack.
Yeah.
I was going off on a tangent then. Wieffer. How did you assess his performance? Because he's been getting a lot of stick recently.
Oh, I mean, some people. Look, I was fuming at the Wolves pass as anyone was, but people were like, Wieffer's the shittest player ever as a result of that.
It's insane.
And I think he just needed to grow into games. And like I said, I think I mentioned it at the Leicester game after we played Leicester, that I thought that was his best performance in that second half. I thought yesterday he had a really, really good performance, and it's quite interesting that we conceded as soon as he came off the pitch. And we didn't have that screening in front of the back four. I think they both worked really, really well in that defensive role. I thought they were, I was just incredibly impressed with Wieffer's performance. And look, I think I had my doubts over Wieffer. I'm not sure if I rated him that highly. I wasn't really sure what I was seeing from the game. But the more and more he's played in the last few weeks, I think it was Fulham. I think I said something on Twitter like, I don't really rate Wieffer, but if you saw him as the problem with our performance against Fulham, then I'm afraid you just simply don't know football, which I think was a very extreme.
You don't know ball.
Yeah, you don't know ball. But and I didn't really rate him. But the more and more he's come in, he's looked more solid. He's almost looked. Some of his through balls and some of his balls over the top and stuff like that. I mean, it's not obviously quite the crossing and chance creation of Pascal Gross, but he's almost looking like when Pascal would play a more deeper role. So for me, I think the more games he plays, the better he gets. And I did like those two together. It's just a shame he went off injured.
Yeah. Do we have an update?
Really frustrating.
I was just looking online. I don't know if we've got an update on his injury at all.
No, I haven't.
It was a thigh injury, right?
Mm-hmm. I think the thigh injury is. I hope the thigh injury isn't the same injury that's been keeping him out for a large part of the season. It would be a real shame if that is a persistent thing for him, because that would be.
So, yeah, Jack, sadly. So I'm just looking at his injury history. According to the transfer market, 23-24, he had thigh problems and it kept him out for 61 days. Which hopefully it isn't. Yeah, it isn't the same one. Maybe the same thigh. I don't know if it's the same thigh or not.
Do you know what? It's funnily enough today. I was having this conversation about injuries because I went to the training ground today to watch the under-21s play.
Nice.
Played Sporting Lisbon B. It was quite it's in the Premier League International Cup. I always find those games quite interesting.
What was the score?
2-0 to Brighton. A really nice second goal, if you get a chance to watch it. Josh Robertson ball rolled the keeper, sent him back to Worthing, sent him back to Gatwick, basically. And rolled
back
it in the
to Portugal.
Back of the net. Yeah, exactly. And also like Sporting Lisbon B. I mean, I don't think maybe we've got a few Sporting Lisbon B fans listening. Absolute bastards. Like, literally, I've never seen a team like more persistent fouling, complaining at the ref.
Just dirty.
They were awful. I mean, there was one guy, it was almost everybody was sort of waiting to see how many times he would roll when he got fouled. But anyway, sorry, that was a slight tangent. Good game anyway, there you go. But no, we're having this conversation about injuries, and we do wonder, why do we get so many injuries? Why do we get so many players out injured? And, it seems like we're the worst every single year. I think we only get a lot of these players. Maybe there's something in the algorithm that we can get them for a low price because other clubs won't take risks on them for any injury history or something like that. Like João Pedro, I think, is a very good example. You know, there's a lot of people having a look at him in the summer for hundreds of millions. Will clubs want him if he's only playing 2 months without an injury and then there's another one? So that's an interesting take on the injuries. Injury side.
I never actually thought of it like that, to be fair.
So I do think that's part of the algorithm and part of us being a club that we can get players for cheap. But then,
well, Lamptey's a great example, isn't he? Because that's what happened with Lamptey. We got him so, was it a couple of million, and now he's obviously. But then
arguably, like our 2 best ever players that we've sort of flipped for money. Very rarely was seldom injured, which was McAllister and Caicedo. They were seldom injured. Like, we'd have them most of the time. So,
very true.
Yeah, it's an interesting viewpoint on it. But yeah, it'd be a real shame, to back to Wieffer, if this injury is going to be persistent with him, because I really, really think he will be key to us once he gets up and running.
Yeah, I think a combination with Baleba, like you mentioned, giving that protection to the defence, Wieffer, and then allowing Baleba to make those forward runs, that box-to-box sort of running, I think is really key. And I really like that combination. So, yeah, it's a real shame if he does keep him out. Hopefully, it's maybe just like maybe a week or 2, if that. But I don't know how severe it was. It could have just been a precautionary substitution.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know yet. So, yeah, fingers crossed it's nothing too serious. But then another player we mentioned a lot, Jack, so far. Well, we've mentioned sort of here and there, is Enciso. And again, really positive off the bench. I thought, he had his moments, sort of made he switched up the game, I suppose. And it's an interesting one with, again, him being linked out on loan with Ferguson. Could be potentially a weird one again, because he's been touted to be, the next big thing. He's got, again, his ceiling's so high. Would you want to risk, sending him out on loan and then, for example, then Herzl is saying, oh, do you know what? For example, if we went on an amazing run, it's like, oh, well, Enciso wasn't playing, so we can afford to let him go, for example. And could he turn out to be like a Gyökeres, for example, and go on to do amazing things and become this incredible player if we were to release him?
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it, with Enciso? I don't really get what's going on there. And I don't think it helped the speculation with whatever went on at the end of the game, which nobody could really work out. But
actually, because I just heard about it on Twitter. I didn't actually see. Did he just go? He just
stood there. Just stood there for a long time, sort of staring at the away support, and everybody sang his name and didn't really. He was quite emotionless, He clapped us, and then he sort of stood there while we all sang his name. So I don't know whether that was a case of that he's going or that I don't know. It was a whole strange thing, because for me, like, number one, if you're doing this kind of this is my last game, I'm going sort of vibe, why are you doing that with 2 games still to play until the transfer window?
Yeah, very odd.
So Yeah, so that was a bit strange, really.
Well, is it the last away game? Is it our last away game?
No.
No. So we've got another away game. We've obviously got Brentford at home next. And then...
So I don't know, really. We do have this very odd thing of, like, Gilmore at the beginning of the season. We had him, a lot of speculation. It seemed like he was off, and it seemed like it pretty much agreed. And yet he's starting the game. So I do find some of those decision-making sometimes that it does make you wonder. And I think this is something that I wonder a little bit about sometimes, is the manager making all the transfer decisions? Are transfer decisions being made without his input? And I know this is sounding like I'm scathing the club transfer policy today, but is Enciso basically had a deal agreed, but Herzler's sort of going like, well, I still want to play him, but the club going, well, no, he's going out on loan whether you like it or not. I don't know. There's some sort of strange decisions on that point. So yeah, I do find it a bit weird. I don't really know what to think of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right? And then he did a little waving emoji.
I think you're onto something a little bit with the whole Herzler thing, because he has started playing. Didn't he come out in an interview, I think the game before last, saying that his mentality's changed, he wants to play, he wants to make a positive impact. So I think you might be onto something a little bit with the whole Herzler angle, because it looks like he's he likes him and he wants to play him, and he wants to sort of give him a chance. But it seems like maybe potentially he is ready to go in January.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all been a bit strange, that one. So I'm not really sure what to say about it, really. I hope he stays, because he's been looking really promising in the last few games, and I do think he gives us something different on the winger side or the number 10 side. He's very tricky, he can get inside, stuff like that. Palace, he's sort of the only player who can really make an impact, because we stopped going out wide, and I do worry that we have an over reliance on wingers. So it'd be good to see those sort of players come back into the team and do really well. So, yeah, a weird one. I wouldn't mind seeing him start against Brentford. I think it was the right decision not to start him against West Ham. But then, against Brentford, build on the performance even more. So, yeah.
Would you be up for rotation come Brentford game? Would you be up for example, like an Enciso starting? I don't know, maybe. Maybe giving Matoma a rest, maybe, playing a Dinger on the left. Like, would you be up for those kind of changes?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think like West Ham was such a solid performance that you don't want to change anything. I think at the back, I'd want to keep everything the same. I think the more and more that back four can play together and get used to each other and stuff like that, you don't need to make changes there. Unless Veltman. Is Veltman on 5 yellows? No, he's not, is he? So, No. So he'll be fine. And then, Purvis and Van Hecker, despite his injury yesterday, running around a bit like Terry Butcher, blood pouring out of his head. Which was a nasty injury, actually, that one. Inflicted by Carlos Baliba as well, which was made the whole thing very Brighton-esque with our own players injuring each other. It's... I would keep the defence the same, but I wouldn't mind seeing some changes up front. I'd like to see Ferguson come in. I think we touched on that earlier, didn't we?
So how would you do it then? Would you have Ferguson, Pedro behind? Maybe
I'd like to see Pedro in behind, and then Ferguson can, like I say, be that focal point. Maybe Enciso out wide, maybe him on the left or the right. I don't know, but we'll have to see. And I do think, not to be negative, I do think Jorginho had another poor performance. Once again, worked hard. I thought he worked really hard, but again, it just didn't quite fall for him. So maybe he needs a rest. I'd like to see a couple of changes. I think him playing up front, it was in the first half, didn't really work for me.
I agree. I think I do agree with. My only hesitancy with Ferguson is, I just do feel like he's confident, and I suppose the only way to change that is, to start him. So I'm sort of very torn. I'm very torn with. I agree with you, but then at the same time, I'm like, from what I've seen him do so far, I've not been impressed. And it doesn't give me that confidence to be like, let's start him. He deserves a start. That's the way I look at it. I'm like, he doesn't deserve to start, but maybe he needs to start. I think that's the difference for me personally. But to be fair to you, I agree. Like, when he did come on, he did have a couple of touches, especially the one for Ayari, which arguably Ayari could have got 2 yesterday. He done well in that situation. And talking of substitutions as a whole, do you know, I just wanted to bring this point up, and I don't know if you agree, Jack, with me, but what I've noticed with Herzler, sometimes he gets this wrong, but I'd say most of the time he gets this right. When we need to make changes, he'll make them. So like that triple substitution, I think around the 60-minute mark where he brought on Minter, Enciso, and I believe I can't remember who the other change was, but I think he made a triple substitution.
Ferguson?
No, Ferguson was 85th minute.
Can't remember.
Anyway,
Can't
he made a triple substitution anyway around the 60-minute mark, and I feel like that was a positive one, which actually helped us.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's been instances, for example, with Leicester when he brought on Igor and he didn't need to. So I feel like he's maybe starting to learn when the game needs it. I can make these changes, but when they're not needed, I don't need to make them. Do you feel like he's starting to learn that a little bit more?
I think. Well, I mean, this is just the whole thing with Herzler, isn't it? The big thing over his name and his age and everything is he's learning more and more with experience. And look, I think he's had a tough spell. I think he's steadied the ship a little bit with this 1-1 where we didn't concede 2 goals in 2 minutes, which was a real good positive. I think now.
Well,
do you know what?
Mean, after their first goal, the atmosphere. Obviously, you were in the stadium, but I felt like the atmosphere was rocking after their equaliser, and they sort of looked a little bit dangerous for a 5-minute period, but then it sort of went off the ball.
Yeah, and I think, I said it to someone leaving the ground. I said, I'm not actually being sarcastic here. I do actually mean this is really good. It's really good that we conceded 1 and didn't concede another one straight afterwards. And that, I know you laugh almost, and I was almost laughing, but, I think that is a really good positive thing to build on, a positive thing to look at. Because, we could just look at it like, oh, yeah, we conceded. I do think the goal was a little bit sloppy. Van Heck was a bit suspect for that with
probably had concussion.
Terry Butcherest. Yeah, I don't know what was going on.
That was poor. But it's like I said earlier, with Fulkrug coming off, the pace of Bowen just changed it completely. They had Crescencio Somerville on the left, Bowen through the middle, and Kudus on the right. And that's just like an abundance of pace against arguably some of the slowest players, in the league, arguably in Dunk and Van Heck. Van Heck's not too slow, but yeah, Duncan, you're going against brute pace against, some wily old head in Dunk. So it was always going to be a tough night when it changed it. But I thought Fulkrug, I wish he stayed on the pitch because I didn't see them really offering that much going forward until he came off.
Yeah, definitely. I think Fulkrug just didn't do it. I haven't done it all season. It's a bit of a strange signing all round, really. I think a couple of their signings have been a bit odd. Haven't they? They've bought a lot of players, but not really bought a team.
Who's that Guido who came on last night? The Spanish midfielder. They got on a free from Betis, I think it was.
And
he's just. I think he's been sent off. He's not played very well. And they made some weird decisions.
And to a certain extent, I do think it's sort of. I think we've been a lot better than that, but we do at times look like a team of individuals rather than an actual fully functioning team. So. It's an interesting thing. I do think Dunk was much improved as well. That was a big thing, which I do think, he looked back to being quite solid again, which was really pleasing to see because he took a lot of flack after the Palace game, and I think he knows that more than anyone else that his performance wasn't good enough in that game. So it's not news to him, is it? And I thought he was really, really good. He was solid again. He commanded the defence well. I think it was more his kind of game. But even against Bowen and Kudus, the pace got the better of them, even though that was more Van Heck's fault. So he did really well on that point. So I don't know. I think it's something to build on, isn't it, for the defence?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was a really positive performance on the whole. I thought obviously there was moments where it wasn't great, but on the majority of it, I thought it was a really positive performance. A point away at West Ham is not the end of the world. I know they've not been in amazing form, but still, to go there, I know we've got a really good record at that stadium. I know we haven't lost in the Premier League there. But still, to go there, in the form we were in, to get a point, and going 1-0 up, I thought it was a positive performance, and hopefully we can carry that one into the Brentford game, and hopefully get positive results. I think we need it. I think, like I said to you, was it last week? If we lose at Brentford at home, things could get toxic. I know we had the West Ham draw's not bad, but I think if we were to lose in Brentford, some fans might get on his back again, and it's something we don't need. And I think I think it's still unfair if that does happen. I'm not wishing it to happen, but if it does happen, I could see a lot of the fan, a small percentage of the fan base turning toxic again, and it's just not what you need, is it, as Brighton fans? And
we're so, I think I said it on last week. We're at such a crossroads with how we are as a club, and I do think that some people are getting very far too quickly frustrated.
Yeah.
At Hersler, but at the same time, I get their concerns. We want to stay in the top six. We want to stay in European football. It's good for the club. It's good for us as fans. It's the expectations rise. So, yeah, it's a hard line to tread. But I do think the Brentford game we've got to look at that as a I wouldn't say a must win. I hate putting must wins on games, but a very, very good performance is needed. And it'll be really positive to see. So yeah, hopefully we can use this to build, because it is about building, isn't it? About
exactly,
building blocks of the building blocks of success.
Exactly.
So yeah, so hopefully I'm pretty positive after this result.
Yeah.
I also I had a great day out. So I had a lot to drink all evening on the Guinness, sorted.
Oh, I thought it was a Guinness shortage.
Yeah, well, there is now.
That's
the reason.
After yesterday.
Yeah, and there was also, I had a weird day yesterday, man. There was a car crash outside the pub. And being in a yellow jacket, I was directed in the road to guide traffic around as I was holding my Guinness, looking really, really professional. So, it was quite a strange...
Mate, you're a man of many talents, Jack.
I know.
You're a social media admin. You're... obviously, I don't know if you want to disclose what you do for your day job, but you're a man of many talents, Jack.
Yeah, I know. So it was an interesting evening out, and look, I enjoyed my day.
Positivity, Jack. We're gonna win the league.
About positivity, and look, let's build. Let's look at the rest of the season. Come on, let's believe we can get Europe, and let's give it a try. And I like to believe that some games are the catalyst. We're always shit in December as well.
Yeah.
Like Christ, since the beginning of time, I remember us being shit in December. Like, I do think so many people are like, "Oh yeah, we're not in League One anymore." It doesn't matter whether we're in League One. It's like a monthly curse. There's I don't know what it is. I think there's probably some psychological stuff behind it. I do think all these curses and we can't do that. There's always like some kind of reason behind it, and I do think December you get to a point where you do start to believe that you could do something, and it's all about your bottle. And I do think that's why or the possibility of slipping into something. And I do think once you get to December, you suddenly look at it like, right, okay, now we can drive, or now we can do that. And I think that's where the mentality thing slightly needs to change.
Yeah, mentality monsters, but that's what we need to be instead of mentality not monsters. But Jack, absolute pleasure, mate, as always. We've got word that Ben is safe in Saudi. He is on his way. He is on his way back. He's had a good trip out in watching Usyk Fury 2. But so hopefully we'll be joined by Ben for the Brentford preview, which we need to do ASAP. Really, I didn't realise the bloody dates the games are so short.
Holidays are coming, mate.
I know, mate. I know. So we need to sort that out. But listen, as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. We really do appreciate all your support. And also, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, please leave a review. It is much appreciated. And Jack, we're not going to see you now until we might see you before Christmas. But I was going to say, if not, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, everybody.
And of course, everyone listening. Yeah, everyone listening. Have a great Christmas. Hope you get all things you want in your stocking / chimney. However, if you believe in Santa, fair play to you. Although, if you're listening, actually, sorry, I don't want to ruin Christmas. Santa definitely will be coming. That's why the police are coming to get me, because someone's Christmas. But
the Christmas police. Yeah, I've got a lot on over Christmas as usual. It's Christmas is more about football because there's so many games on over the football. Christmas
it is great though, isn't it? Christmas football is unreal.
And we've got
the darts is on as well.
Darts is on, and we've got Boxing Day. We've got no game on Boxing Day this year, so
day after Boxing Day.
I can very excitingly watch 2 football games in a day somewhere, which is always good. I get I always like to advertise local non-league matches, don't I? Because I'm slightly deranged, I think. If you're not doing anything on Boxing Day, 11 o'clock, if you are stupid enough to think I'm going to go to a football game at 11 o'clock in the morning on Boxing Day, Milo are playing Seaford up at the Milo Rec.
Milo Seaford? Bloody hell.
There's
some trenches. That's the trenches right there.
Big Brighton fans playing for Seaford. My good friend Max Vardy. So,
Is he Jamie's cousin?
No, he's not related to Jamie Vardy, to my knowledge, in any way whatsoever.
That's a shame.
But he'll be playing in that game, so get yourself down to Marlow Rec or go to Lewis. That's where I'm also going. So, get yourself out. No Boxing Day Brighton game means you can get yourself out and go.
And where are Whitehall playing? Are they playing away? I'm assuming.
We moved our game to Chichester, so we moved our game back a week, so we didn't play on Boxing Day. So I don't have to. We got Dulwich on the 28th. If you still want more football, Whitehawk home to Dulwich, 28th of December.
Bash.
Be there or be square.
Love that, Jack.
Yeah.
Jack, always a pleasure, never a chore. And
we
shall see you for the Brentford preview.
Bosh.